New York City, 1932. 11 construction workers are casually eating lunch, chatting, and smoking cigarettes while sitting on a narrow steel beam. Underneath their dangling feet, a terrifying 850-foot drop straight down to the hard pavement of Manhattan. No safety nets, no harnesses, no fear. For nearly a century, this image, known as lunch atop a skyscraper, has been the ultimate symbol of American courage and grit during the darkest days of the Great Depression. But what if I told you the entire scene was a lie? What if these men weren't just randomly caught by a photographer, and the danger you see wasn't exactly what it appeared to be? Today, we are looking past the borders of this legendary frame to uncover the dark, terrifying, and surprisingly human truth behind the most famous photo in history. Welcome to One Frame History. To understand this photograph, we have to look at the world outside the frame. The year is 1932, the absolute rock bottom of the Great Depression. 1 in 4 Americans is out of work. People are starving, desperate, and willing to take any job just to put bread on the table. In the middle of this economic wasteland, billionaire John D. Rockefeller decides to build a city within a city, the Rockefeller Center. To build it, they hired desperate immigrants, Irish, Swedish, Italian, and Native American Mohawk ironworkers. They called them the Sky Boys. But the reality of their job wasn't romantic. It was hell. There were no hard hats, no safety ropes, and the winds coming off the Hudson River could freeze a man's hands to the iron in seconds. During the skyscraper boom of that era, there was an unofficial, brutal rule of thumb among contractors. 1 worker dies for every 4 floors completed. Every step on those wet, slippery beams could be their last. So, why do historians call this photo a fake? Well, the men are real, the height is real. But the situation? It was a calculated corporate PR stunt. Most people don't know that this wasn't a candid snapshot. It was taken on the 69th floor of the RCA building during its final months of construction. Rockefeller Center was having a massive problem. Because of the Depression, no one wanted to rent their expensive office spaces. They needed a massive publicity stunt to show the world that New York was still booming. On September 20th, 1932, 3 photographers went up to the sky and asked the ironworkers to pose. In fact, there are other photos from that exact same day that the public rarely sees. In one, the men are waving their hats in the air. In another, they are actually lying down on the beam, pretending to take a nap. But here is the biggest secret. Modern researchers discovered that the photo was cropped to look as scary as possible. Just a few feet below that beam, out of the camera's view, was a fully finished, safe wooden floor. The men were never in danger of falling to the streets of New York, but that doesn't mean their lives weren't full of tragedy. For decades, the 11 men on the beam were completely anonymous, just faceless silhouettes of the working class. But in 2012, a director named Sean O'Qualine went on a mission to track down who they actually were. Look closely at the man on the far right holding a bottle. His name is Gustav Popovich, a Slovakian immigrant. He was a logger back home but moved to America for work. He actually sent a copy of this exact photo to his wife, Mariška, in Slovakia. On the back, he wrote in Slovak, "Don't worry, my dear Mariška. As you can see, I'm still with a bottle, but alive." He survived the construction, returned to Slovakia, and sadly died during World War II. Now look at the 2 men sitting next to each other in the center, Joseph Eckner and Sonny Glynn. Their families only recognized them decades later by comparing the photo to old family albums. Most of these men were Irish immigrants running away from poverty, looking for a new life, and instead they found immortality on a piece of steel. But what about the person who clicked the shutter? For over 70 years, the photographer was officially listed as unknown. The Corby's photo agency spent years investigating, but because there were 3 photographers on the roof that day, Charles C. Ebbets, Thomas Kelly, and William Leftwich, and because the glass negatives were moved around for decades, it is almost impossible to know who took the exact shot. Charles Ebbets is widely credited today, but the true authorship of the photo, much like the identity of a few men on that beam, remains a mystery of history. Lunch atop a skyscraper is not just a photograph. It's a perfect capsule of the human condition. It is a mix of corporate marketing, immense danger, and the quiet dignity of the working class. It reminds us that behind every iconic image we see on a poster, a t-shirt, or a computer screen, there is a deep, sometimes painful story of real human beings who built the modern world with their bare hands. If you want to see what else is hiding inside the world's most famous pictures, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment about which photo we should investigate next, and we'll see you in the next frame. This is One Frame History.